Baruch Hashem. The challenge, very good.
Yeah.
So feels so good. Shkoyach everyone for joining us again for Shir Tanya. Mamish, we're going into the Taka, we're in Sederik Dalet, and we're starting with Bira Inyan. So really we left off where it starts a new thing. Bira Inyan. It's on page Tzadik Dalet. Page Tzadik Dalet, last three lines, last two words, Bira Inyan. Bira Inyan, we said that the Alter Rebbe, on the one hand, makes tshuva so easy. On the one hand, it's a ziva sakait belvad. On the other hand, the Alter Rebbe says, in order to do be'emes of shalom, you really have to understand what is real tshuva. Tshuva tatot, tshuva yiloah, up to the highest level of tshuva yiloah, it should be be'emes of shalom. So on the one hand, the Alter Rebbe wants to make it very easy. It's like derech haruch tzara in a way, if you think about it. It's both. There's the derech tzara here, which is a ziva sakait belvad. It's not that complicated. On the other hand, it's the derech harucha, which is to make it emes of shalom. So we're in the last three lines in Daf Tzadik Dalet Bira Inyan to understand this Kanoida b'mayim and Eliyahu. So we just spoke about that the neshamas, the difference of neshamas and malachim. And this was Parsha talks a lot about malachim. We'll see. Is such an honor? No, okay. So Bira Inyan Kanoida b'mayim and Eliyahu Anto da pikas asa tekunin. The Eliyahu Hanavi said in the Zoyar, the Tikkun Zoyar, Anto da pikas asa tikkunim, you produced 10 tikkunim. The Kirin lahoin asa sfida, and you called it 10 sfida lahogan man almin in order to run the world. Stimmen the lois gallion, and then there's almond is gallion. Vanto chakem v'loy b'chochme yediyah, vanto mevim v'loy b'vina yediyah. Before I even translate the words, it's there's something. First of all, what's the pshat, and then there's something odd here. The Alter Rebbe mentions about 10 spheres all over. I mean, this is Tanya, page Tzadik Dalet. So start from page Aleph and find me at least one page where it doesn't mention about the 10 spheres. So they want that it's time to mention that there's a source for it. Oh, so you should know that there's a source. It's Ma'amer Eliyahu in the Tikkun Zoyar. Firstly, if he thought you should mention that there's a source for 10 spheres, you should mention Daf Aleph and Tanya. Second question is, if he wants to bring a source, why is he bringing it from the Zohar? There's an earlier source. Avram Avinu Olav Shalom wrote a sefer called Sefer Yetzirah. You know, Shavuos, read it. It's already 4:00 in the morning. It's you're floating, but the words you say, "Es sweet as blima." Not the whole, but this part you say, "Es sweet as blima." You say, so Sefer Yetzirah is Avram Avinu. And Avraham Avinu comes much before the Shema Vayechai. Well, when you quote something, you don't. The Gemara says you don't usually say Ravina said, or it says Zoya says. Who said? Who cares that Chizkiah said it? If Shema Vayechai said it, Ababo said it, Eliyahu said it. You said the Gemara zog, the Mishnah zog, the Zoya zog, the Medrash zog. Why is the Alter Rebbe emphasizing it's Ma'amer Eliyahu? So the Rebbe has a beer in the Ifla, but the first, just to start with the end of the Sikha, you know, the Chassidim said the story about the Baal Shem Tov, that there was a Yid in Tzfas, that the Nishmas of Baal Shem Tov was a Yid in Tzfas, that was one night, knock, 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 who is it? Eliyahu Hanavi. So he invites Eliyahu Hanavi, and Eliyahu Hanavi says that Malamayla, they sent me to teach you Kol HaTorah Kula and also Sisrei HaTorah. At night, you should tell me that there was some unbelievable schus. The day of your bar mitzvah, you did some serious nefesh, unbelievable thing. And after you tell me what you did in the day of your bar mitzvah, I will teach you all of Pnimiyas HaTorah. So the man said, look, what I did was between me and the Rebbeinu Shalom. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, have a nice day. It's none of your business. I did it for the Rebbeinu Shalom. And if you don't want to teach me Sisrei Torah, I'm not going to Sisrei Torah. Spoke about it the other day. Born to be a Rosh Yeshiva. I'm born to do I'm born in this world to do what the Rebbeinu wants me. So if I don't need to know Sisrei Torah, I don't need to know Sisrei Torah. This guy was a very simple guy. He didn't know Lomdus. He said, well, what do I need to know Sisrei Torah? If that David wants, I'll know it. It was unbelievable. Rash Lamaila, when they saw that this guy was so sincere in his avodah, Eliyahu was sent back and taught him double Sisrei Torah. And he became a Lamdan Otzim and a Goan Otzim, and he knew all Sisrei Torah. Elamai, he never taught anyone. He was Nechba Lakelim. So when he after Lachem Evesim, when he came to heaven, they said, very nice, but what do you think? They taught you all Sisrei Torah that you should sit in Sfas over there on top of Har Knan, and that way. What do you think? They said, no. You're going to have to go down again to this world, and this time you'll be behested, and then we'll force you to be Mizgala. That was neshama of the Baal Shem Tov. That's a story that's told in many Chassidish Rebbes from very different groups. What's the union of Eliyahu? Eliyahu, the pasuk says, "Hine anoichi shalech lachem es Eliyahu Hanavi lifnei bo yom Hashem hagodol v'hanoira v'heishiv leivov es albonim alav oisam." It's Malachi, the last Navi. That the Rambam says that lifnei bo yom Hashem hagodol v'hanoira, that Eliyahu Hanavi will come. Why? Eliyahu is mevasa the Geula. Why is Eliyahu dafke mevasa the Geula? Because the Rambam says that Yisrael loisim tshuva, they have to do tshuva miyad negolim. So he gets to do the job because he influences the Eden to do tshuva, and when they'll do tshuva, miyad him negolim. So the connection is very nice. Huh?
That's what take you Navi, not Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah.
He'll be sitting there also. I mean, if you have a question in Torah, you should go to Moshe Rabbeinu, no?
Right. Because Eliyahu is the first. He comes the day before. Very nice. Lifnei bo yom Hashem. He comes 1 day before. So Moshe Rabbeinu. Eliyahu comes. You ask him right away. Very nice.
Meaning, if Moshe has a question, he asks it.
No. He's saying Moshe Rabbeinu didn't come yet. He's like Lifnei bo yom Hashem hagodol v'hanoira. So when we're going to wait tomorrow to Moshe? Chavakash. I'll ask it to Eliyahu Hanavi today. That's what he's saying. Very nice.
You would have 5,000 years.
So Eliyahu Hanavi is Mavasa Geula. No, Navi is Heishiv Leivav Salbonim. So Eliyahu Hanavi has a shaykh of tshuva.
Yeah.
So like this, what's the Maimer Eliyahu? What's Eliyahu saying over here? The emphasis is Eliyahu is saying something. It's the Alter Rebbe is not trying to bring a raya that there's 10 sfidas, because that he wouldn't bring it in Daf Tzadik Dalet. He would bring it in Daf Aleph. He wants to bring over here a few lashonas, like Eliyahu Hanavi, which is the Bala Maimer, he's the person who's the expert in tshuva. He's v'heshiv leivavis. So he's talking about something which influences me and gives me encouragement to do tshuva. Now, what does Eliyahu Hanavi says? He talks about the 10 sfidas more elaborately than Avraham Avinu. He says, "Antu da pikas asas tikunim." That the Eibishter, he was mapik. He took out. He revealed 10 tikunim. What's the word tikunim? What does it mean? The word tikunim. If you look, probably the most esoteric maimer and the maimer this week. There's only one maimer, and it's maimer Eliyahu. Antu da pikas asas tikunim. It's a shkocha pratis. We're learning it tonight. It's iconic. That Alter Rebbe starts off like what's going on? What does it mean asa tikunim? So he says that it says loy silbash gever simlas isha, that a man should not wear a woman's clothing. And the Targum says loy tikuni gavre tikuni itaset, that a man, he translated, but it's translate. But what's the translation? Lo yilbash, he says lo yitaken. What's the translation over here? I don't see the translation. Usually, there's a translation, and Alter Rebbe says tikkun is meloshen tachshit. There's 2 types of clothing a person wears. If you wear a coat, it's because you're cold, so you're trying to warm yourself up. But if you're wearing cufflinks, you're not cold or hot. If you're wearing a fancy watch, it's nothing to do with. It's not even to do with knowing the time, because Islama, you have this in your pockets, you know the time. So why are you wearing a fancy watch? Because it's fancy. So why is a man wearing big deisha? So today there's all kinds of today there's all kinds of fancy words, alternative lifestyles. That but so so the pshat is lo yilbash gevet tikuni isha, that a man is not allowed to. What's the pshat? The pshat is that there's lavushim and there's tachshitim. Lavush, in order not to be undressed, you have lavushim. In order to not be cold, you put on a lavush. But the jewelry is not that way. Jewelry is in order to a woman wants to look beautiful, or a man wants to look very sharp and fancy. So he buys a nice pair of glasses, a nice pair of cufflinks, a nice watch, a nice tie, whatever. He dresses sharp, so he looks like a fancy guy, serious guy. So there's a big difference. So there's a difference of the relationship of a person with the gatkis. Gatkis, gatkis are underwear. Gatkis, who cares what kind of gatkis? These gatkis, that gatkis. But when you go into a chasana,
it's a big
makes a difference. Oh, okay. Pair of socks. It is almost not. I know. There's almost not left a lavush that you give a marshal. We could say there's no difference. Who cares? This one, that one. It's black, pink, and purple. Ah? Oh, kilobendo. So who cares the color of it? It's the same thing. But clothing that I want to look sharp, I want to look good. So I do care. That's the difference between a lavush and a tachshit. The Alter Rebbe says that's the difference between the relationship of the soul and machshava dibur maisa and seichel midas. Seichel midas that brings out what kind of person it is. So the relationship of seichel midas to the person is like jewelry to the person who's wearing jewelry. That's what's called tachshitim. It's called tikkunim. The 10 Sfidas, they bring out the kalim of the 10 Sfidas, bring out the beauty of the Eibishter in 10 different ways, from Chochmah down to Malchus. So that's why they're called tikkunim. Mitzvahs that a Yid does, Hukshakol HaTorah Kula L'Tfilin. Tfilin is also, Tfilin is called, the word Tfilin, the Gemara says means tachshit, because that the Yid becomes beautiful through doing the mitzvahs. How does a Yid become beautiful? Through doing mitzvahs. So their first thing is, huh? What's lavushim? Lavushim is less. We'll learn about it in the Shabbos. It's like machshava dibur maisa. That's nishtazoi misachad with the nefesh. Seichel midas is become one with the person. So the 10 sfidas, as the Leo is saying, is in a relationship of tikkunim, not lavushim. It's tikkunim. It's tachritim. That the Eibishter made that 10 Sfidas should be that he reveals himself and then Hogus the world. First then Hogus to him, and then in Alman this Gallion. We say the Eibishter is Hakim, Veloy B'chochmi Yediyah, and to Maven Veloy B'vini Yediyah. The Altanya, the Alter Rebbe is not going into, there's a lot of pshatim, and so that's what it means. Obviously, it's saying that on the simplest level, that the way you know Chochmah, but that's not the Chochmah the Eibishter. So in other words, the way there's Chochmah Datzilus, and then there is Chochmah of the Eibishter, which is called Esas Sfidas Agnuzas. That's something we don't know, but the Eibishter made there should be Esas Sfidas Agnuzas in order there should be the revealed 10 Sfidas, and through that we should have a relationship with him. So Leonov is telling us the secret that through Torah mitzvahs you get to the regular 10 Sfidas. And in order to get to Ant, the Eibishter himself, to the hidden 10 Sfidas, is through tshuva. Through Torah mitzvahs, the person gets to the regular 10 Sfidas. Through tshuva, a person gets to the Esas Sfidas Agnuzas, just like by human being. There is a subconscious and the conscious of the person. You don't realize something, sometimes what motivates you, there's a subconscious. There is the 10 Sfidas that the Eibishter made. Before the 10 Sfidas were produced, there was Esas Sfidas Agnuzas. We say Antu Chakim v'loy b'chochmi yediyah. The Eibush himself had already Chakim before there was the chochmi yediyah and Atzilus. Antu Meivim v'loy b'vini yediyah. So we're saying that through Torah mitzvahs you get to the regular 10 Sfiras, and through tshuva you get to the Eibush himself to the Esses Svidus Agnosis, and through that, because why is it negate to know? Because we're going to say soon that the neshama has in it from all the 10 spheres. Why is it important to know the neshama has the 10 spheres? Because to say the magnitude of what a person does and the effect that a person does is all the orlamas. Of course, the person has in it the Yud Kei Vav Kei, has the 10 spheres in him. So when a person is Mekayim Torah mitzvahs, he affects the worlds, all the orlamas in an unbelievable positive way. When he does an Aveda, he makes a pagam, affects the world in a terrible way. And that's why it's important to know. And then we'll talk about how tshuva works. But first, it's important to know what tshuva for what. So when a person understands that the neshama is Yud Kei Vav Kei and has the 10 spheres in it, therefore, when he does something and in a positive way, affects all the world in a positive way, and if a negative, and so then we'll talk about how this connects with the Smaim Azar. The 10 spheres are all included, and they all have a remes in the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Ki Yud shebchinas nakuda levad. The Yud is one nakuda. And if you take a piece of an ink, a drop of ink, and drop it on a parchment, so that one drop of ink is called a Yud. A Yud is nakuda levad. Why is it nakuda? And the Zaramez is l'chachmas is barach shebchinas halam v'hester. Kodim sheba lechinas is pashtus v'gila hasoga v'avona. A thought, when the light bulb goes on, before we develop the thought, just a new thought, when it comes into the mind, that's an akuda. Then you develop the thought. First you have a thought. The light bulb, I have a problem, I can't figure it out. The light bulb goes on. I have the answer. First I have the answer, that's one nakuda. Then I will try to develop that nakuda, which is bina, which we'll talk about this in a second. And bina will say, hey, why is the difference? Yud is one drop of ink. You plop a drop of ink, the one nakuda, that's chokhmah. Bina is hey. Hey is the biggest ois, almost, because hey has two main things, oirich and roicha. There is roicha, which is to take the thing and explain it well, to go from here to here. So I take this one point, this drop of ink, and then I take the smudge it from here to here. And it means that this nakuda is not just a nakuda. I develop the nakuda, and then I take another stroke, and I take from that ink and I push it downwards to bring it down, to give a mashal, to explain it, to bring it down. I have an idea sometimes. I develop it very well, but then I also want to bring misholam and dugmas and to bring applications and to bring it down. That's what the hay is. Let's look at the brackets. Koitz, shala yud. There's a koitz on top of the yud. Reimes l'pinas rotzen alien baruch. The koitz on top of the yud is the remes for the rotzen alien. Which is even higher than chochmei law, kenoide, as is known. There is a discussion in the Gemara Kedushin about which is the three. Really, a yud has three koitzim. There is 1, 2, 3. There's the three. There's a koitz in the yud. Every yud has really three koitzim. There's a whole discussion. The Gemara, I'm sorry, Menachos. That's where the Gemara Nafla Medal Menachos about the koitza elyon. The Gemara thinks that the koitza elyon, if you didn't write it, the Sefer Torah is kosher too. The yud is a yud without a koitz. The maskon of the Gemara is that it's not kosher. You must have the koitz. Why am I mentioning this little piece of information from the Gemara? It will be relevant later. Bottom line is that you must have a koitz over here. So the Rebbe says that this koitza shel yud is merames on something which is higher even than chochma, which is called rotzen elyon. Which is rotzen is the Eibishter's rotzen before it came to chochma. Chochma is once we can explain, just like when you have something you want very badly. I'm just giving a mashal for it, because usually by a person it's lamatim and adas. I want something, and then you ask me, what do you want it so badly? So I'm going to start giving baba maisis. I'll try to, explain it. But the Eibishter, it's the other way around. The rotzen elyon, the Eibishter's rotzen, which is higher than chochma. It's beyond chochma. And then it comes into chochma, into bina, and into lower, also the midas. So there is the Eibishter's rotzen before chochma, and that a remes for that is in the koitze shel yud. Let's after the brackets.
You always see it.
Huh? You see it. Yeah, if you look, you'll see. When next aliyah you get, Look at the Yud, you'll see there's a Koitz Elyon. Acher Shabol, it's usually pronounced after in a Yud. After this thought, this nakuda is being spread out and it's being understood and expanded upon, and it came legilui ha'asaga to reveal this understanding of avon al stimen when it's still an alman stimen. So then it's nechlalas v'nirmezes ois hey. The remes for it is in ois hey sheyesh law bechines is pashtus roichev. We take the feather and I take the drop of ink and I start going from here to there. Leroichev amoyro maramaz al achovas abiyur va'avona v'gam leoirech. I take the feather and I take that drop of ink and I bring it down. V'gam leoirech amoyro al b'chinas hamshocha v'ashpo malamai lelamata, to bring it from a higher to a lower level. Alman stimen. V'achkach shemshachas hamshocha v'ashpo zu yoysa lamata l'alman disgalia. Later, when I want to bring it into Alman Disgalia, what does it mean? I want to bring it from a hidden world to the revealed world. The person understands something, and then he wants to explain it to his friend. So till now it was Alman Stimen. Stimen means a sosum, it's in my head. Now I want to explain it to my friends. So I want to reveal my thoughts to my friends. So when it's by me, it's alman stimin, it's awesome. No one knows what I'm thinking, and now I want to reveal my thoughts to friends and family. So how do I do it? I'll speak about it. I'll explain myself. Hey, this process of revealing it and explaining it is in the word vav and the letter vav and the letter hey. Vav essentially is that you're bringing it down. If you take a drop of ink, which is a yud, and then you take the feather and you make a line, you go down. That's a vav.
Then the vav and the hey are the same thing.
Yeah, but the hey is also oidech v'roichet. Because it's still developing the thoughts. So first he's making a roichev, and then but the vav is the thought is already developed.
Oh, maybe it's that the hey, you still have to explain it to bring it down, but the vav it already stands on itself.
Right. You understand it already.
Now,
exactly. You understand it already. Elamai, you want to explain it to someone else. So you're taking what is already by you, and now you're just explaining it. Yeah, exactly. The gamma shachal day. Midas tuvay, kazde v'tuve v'shar medoysa v'kedoshus nechlots b'derech kol v'mispeshesh shebepasik l'chashem agdula v'ad l'chashem ha'mamalocha v'layel b'chlal. There's two reasons why vav show aman hamshocha. Number one, vav is just you have a yud and then you take the ink and you bring it down, and also vav means six. Vav means six. Six is a six midas. L'chashem agdula v'agmura v'atikveres v'neitza v'hoyt kechel b'shemah v'baretz. So, and when you want to have a relationship with someone, it has to be through midas. It's just like a marriage, if it's all in seichel, there's no relationship. A relationship always has midas to it. So when you want to share it, when you want to be megala something, you could think it through yourself. There's no emotion involved, no excitement. When you talk about it, you get excited about it, right? So it involves the midas. So when you want to share something, it involves using the six midas. Other places out there it explains how every one of the six midas help share a thought. Out there it gives a mashal of a father who's teaching a child, and how every one of the six midas is necessary in order to share the thought. But b'chlolos, that in order to share a thought, it involves a relationship, involves midas. So therefore, vav is merames on revealing my thought to someone else. And then the last thing in the pasuk is l'cha Hashem hamamlocha, and that's something else. Kemidas malchus is baruch nikra b'shem dvar Hashem. The Eibish's malchus is called dvar Hashem. The Eibish's speech k'mashkosa basher dvar melech shilton. That the melech, how does he shilton? How does he rule? His dominion is through his speaking, not by moving his hand, not by doing things, not like a carpenter that by moving his hand he does things, not by a painter. A king, Dvar Melech Shilton. So also, but the Eibish's Malchus is associated to Dibur. And the Chlolos when the Moses, also here, it's Nirmes Ba'ois Hei Achrona Shal Shem Yud Kei Vavke. L'chayra, we said before, hey means something else. But the hey could mean two things. Why? Kipnimi ומוקר הדיבור הוא ההבל העולם מן הלב ומסחלק להם הצוס אחריהם מהגורם. וגם הוורס ההי היא מבחינת הבל לבד. When you want to speak, you have to use the hey, and Kamashkosov, as it says in the Hagdomas on that we say in Shavuos before we read Aseres Adibris, that the Eibishter created the Chazal said the Eibishter created the world with a Yud and a Hey, Olam Haba with a Yud and Olam Haza with a Hey, and the Hagdomas it says that the Hey is also Klilu de Lesbe Mashosha. What does it mean? Also Klilu de Lesbe Mashosha. Translation means it's a very weak ois. The Lesbe Mashosha. There's no mamoshes to it. There's no substance to it. What's the pshat? When a person wants to speak, wind has to come out of your chest, and then it gets broken up in the five articulators. So when you articulate your words, you first have to have a wind. That wind, b'derech klal, it doesn't have a sound. But in Chachamenu Zal, like heard a little bit of a hey. They heard the sound coming out of your chest as a hey. And that's the osa klola, the lesbe mashosha. It's before the articulators are ready, before your tongue or your lips or your throat turn the hummus into hummus. So there was a osa. It was a osa klila, a lesbe mashosha. Now we took the hay and turned it into a ches. So that's number one. Number one is that the hey is the source of all the 22 letters in the aleph base. But the second point about the hey is that the hey, there is the five gvuras, the five things. A gvura means that you stop at it here. There's healthy limitations, right? Healthy boundaries, good fences, make good neighbors, right? So if a person will not have chitoch hadibur good, right? Because if a person is like Moshe Rabbeinu, that they burnt their lips, so they can't, the oasis they have to come out of their lips will not come out clearly. If a person is missing teeth, that's our old people. Today it's not so much because everyone has implants. Exactly, but a Molech Tzaitin, when you had old people that pocket didn't have teeth, they had dentures. They forgot it in the house. It's still sitting in the mug. So then, when they speak, you can hear that they forgot to bring their dentures in their mouth. Why? Because so you need to have the five articulators that are strong and sharp. These are the five gvuras. So that's hey. So there's two things in hey. Why hey is meramas and dibur. It's also klula the lesbe mashasha. Hey is usually the sound that comes out of your chest before it got broken up. And also hey is the hey gvuras, which break up the five articulators. That's why a hey is meramas the dibur. Af shein le dmusaguf chas v'shalom. How can you say about the Eibush such things? The ein le dmusaguf. Ach dibur toirav koloshim le'odem. This do we want that the Eibush spoke koloshim le'odem, that we should be able to relate to it. The whole idea that the Eibush made 10 sfiras is that we should be able to relate to it. That there should be a relationship. Shagam dvar Hashem chov be'oisis hamaschalkas lahei chelkei hameitzos behem nivra kol yitzur. And the truth is that the Chazal tell us that there's chov be'oisis, that the Eibush created the world, and then that there were five articulators, and that's the way the Eibush created the world. In the Shari Yichud Ramun, Perek Yud Aleph Biur in Yisrael. So that's the Yud Kei Vav Kei of the Eibush. Why are we going through so at length the Yud Kei Vav Kei of the Eibush? Because we want to say that the neshama of the person is not like anything else created in the world. We said earlier in the Perek that everything the Eibush created in the world, even the Malachim, the Shem, Malakim, unbelievable, but they're not Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. The only thing in this world that's Yud Kei Vav Kei, that an Etzem Achayis is Yud Kei Vav Kei, is Neshama V'Jud. So first we want to go through how there's 10 sfiras that are merumas. The 10 sfiras are merumas and Yud Kei Vav Kei. And then we'll talk about how these 10 sfiras are reflected in the neshama of the person. Once we'll understand that later, and the Alter Rebbe will say that's why the consequences of what a Yid does is major. So a person says, he was over in Aveda. What's the big deal? He did something. So he ate a little bit of pork. What's the big deal? There was an old lady in the Bronx. Her father-in-law owned a deli. It's now an icon of a deli in Manhattan. It's 100 in the faces. So it's from 1882, Jewish deli. So they were kosher. Now the menu has they give it the breakfast menu. So you can have breakfast in Katz's Deli. They have very Jewish food. They have matzah balls. You can have hash browns. You have with the hash browns. You have I'm not sure it's that bad, but you have a shtickle pastrami and sour cream and cream cheese. But it's all Jewish. It's all Jewish.
I know people who went to eat there. They thought it was kosher.
I walked in there. I realized it wasn't kosher. I walked out. I didn't eat anything.
Looks really good.
And they used to,
It smells really good.
yeah, they had,
The name is Sketz.
yeah, the Jewish food. So the Nebuch, the Yidden, they think,
Knishes.
Knishes.
With kosher style.
There's Nebuch, a Yid that says to himself, I'm not giving an example because no one here is offended by my example with Katz's Deli. Or talk other examples, we might get offended. So Katz's Deli is good. So a person says, it's a big deal that I had my hash browns with a little bit of kosher pastrami and some cream cheese. But when a person understands that the neshama of a all chayas of behemoths, even malachim, is not like the neshama of a yid. The neshama of a yid is yud kevavke. When a yid does a mitzvah, it affects positively all the olamas, up to the highest yud in Atzilus. When Yid Rachmana litzlan does an Aveda, it affects in a bad way, adversely, all the olamas, up to the yud in Atzilus, up to not Bri Yitzid Atzilus Mamish, up to the yud is affected by the Gam.
Him personally or the cloud?
Him and the klal and yud kevavke in Atzilus is affected. The same thing, there's many avdolas between the Yud Kei Vavke, the way it's Natzilus and the way it's Neshama Sa'adam, but still it's the same thing. Which we say it's a teiches in the pnimius of the Eibishter. As we said earlier in the Perek, the difference of everything that was created with Dvar Hashem and by a person as Vayipach Ba'ap of Nishmas Chaim. The human being has 4 parts to it. A Yid has a seichel anelam amarum is ba'is yud shebekoich lotzes salagilui lahavin al haskol v'mitose is barach u'b'gdolase. A Yid has in him, it's innate that he has the Yud, that he has the power to understand the Eibishter. You could say l'choyre every human being has it, but it's not true. You see b'muchrish that only a Jew who has an neshama, that even though a goy on his level can understand Achdus Hashem, but to be'emes understand Achdus Hashem, a person needs to have an neshama, because the neshama has in it this yud, and the yud allows that a person should be able to be toifus the Eibishter. If he doesn't have a neshama, he will never be toifus it. He'll never get it.
That's the pintle of yud.
The pintle of yud, exactly. In the power of this yud, every neshama, every person, based on their shiur, what the Eibishter gave him. There's 2 parts. There's the gift that the Eibishter gave me and how much effort I put in. If I don't put in effort, I'm not going to get any results. When I use the power that the Eibishter gave me, and I also put in my own effort, Azai merumeses binose ba'ishei sheyesh la roicha v'gam oirech hamoira hamshachem l'mayla l'mata l'hoil mebinose v'zbenusam l'dos Hashem ava v'yira v'taldaseyim v'moich v'talumas liba, that when I exercise the hay and the yud, So the light bulb goes on and I see the godless of Hashem, then I expand on it. And then, but Alman Stimen, in my mind, before it's the day's galus, I already have, just like with love, when it's before it's full blown love, there's just like an atiyah. If a person meets, like by us, if we're dating, it doesn't start, love doesn't start, fiery. There's a shatchan, the parents are involved, right? It starts with an atiyah b'seichel, that the boy and girl think that it can work, right? So in the Yid's mind, he already has an atiyah to Avas Hashem based on his new thought and his new davening that he has. And then he brings it into this galus of his heart. So from the Yud, he goes into the Vav. The Yud is in the Storis Lashem and Vav case and Niglas Lanu. The Vav case more action. Mezen Imshech, Avoida Mitzvahs, basic Atoyra Mitzvahs, Bekorel V'Dibur Emaisa, Enoises Vav Hey. From this comes the Avoida Neisek Atoyra Mitzvahs. As I said, so the Alter Rebbe is trying to say that to understand the importance of tshuva, you have to understand first the importance of my actions or inactions. So you have to understand that there is 10 sfidas that are in Nirmez and Yud Kei Vav Kei, and then there is the way it's a my neshama. The Rebbe had an unbelievable koch in Iggeres HaTeshuvah. And Befrat, his father had a big koch, and the Rebbe his father had a Soif Yomov. He had a little bit of ink, and he wrote on the side of a Tanya and the Zoya a few hours. The Rebbe was had an unbelievable koch. In this, we have a few minutes. I just want to, an unbelievable, a beer nifla from the Rebbe, Shabbos Nitzovim, Kovshan Lamet. The Rebbe's father says that if you look closely, there's nitpicking, but still, that's where you sometimes see the Gaval. The Alter Rebbe says, when the Alter Rebbe talks about the Koitzer Shel Yud, he says it's a roimis. When he talks about the Yud, he says miramezes. And then when he talks about the Hey Vav, it's nirmezes. So why is it roimis, miramez, and nirmas? Different lashon. Whatever. Alter Rebbe was tired at night. So you can't always write the same lashon. Look boring.
It's like an assignment in school.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too obvious.
And why is it over here he writes nichlalas vinir mezes? Over there, not with the word nichlalas. The Rebbe says, "Bachlal, what? There's a brackets. The brackets is not a hagah from someone else. Alter Rebbe himself. So manavshach is it important, not important. And the truth is, later he doesn't really explain so much how the koitza shel yud. What does it mean? My avodas Hashem. Even though we were talking yesterday, we were farang a little bit that Alter Rebbe usually doesn't get down and dirty. Other the Sifrei Chassidus that give practical example. Alter Rebbe, you have to apply it yourself. Alter Rebbe, is talking about, you apply it, avodas Hashem, but still, Alter Rebbe a little bit applies it. This Alter Rebbe doesn't apply because it's in brackets. But so why does he bring it? The Alter Rebbe is saying that there is Yud Hey Vav Hey in the Neshama. It's also Koitza Shel Yud. Why is it important to Koitza Shel Yud? Anyway, the Nekuda of the Rebbe's view, Nifla. So the Alter Rebbe is going to say later that the Ratzon Elyon is associated to Yud Gimud Sarachim. So here's the trick of how tshuva works. Here's the trick. In the one hand, so we're not only the Eibishter forgives us, very nice. The Eibishter forgives us, it's very nice. He's benevolent. The Eibishter forgives us after 1,000 times, it's great. But there was a pagam. How are we going to retroactively be mamal of the pagam? How are we going to fix what we did wrong? We made a pagam in the yud or in the hey or in the vav and the hey. How are we going to be mamal of that pagam? So this is the idea of the koitza shel yud. In the one hand, if koitza shel yud was if it was part of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, so this is where the pagam is. So like Chazal saying, this is the pagam. If the koitza shel yud, if it was something totally removed, Yud Gimel Tzarachim was totally removed, so the Eibishter forgives that. You know what? Father is a teacher, and if he's a bad teacher, he says, he comes home and don't worry, whatever. I'm going to give a punishment to my class. You my boychik, machna shtois. Right? So, okay, so machna shtois. So it doesn't make a difference. I forget. I forgive you. So it makes no difference. It makes no difference. It makes no difference. It makes no difference. Still not mal the begam. The idea of Yud Gimel Mitzarachmim is because it's Koitze Shal Yud. On the one hand, it has a connection to the Yud Kei Vavke. On the other hand, it stands atop of the Yud Kei Vavke. Therefore, the Pagam does not reach there, but still, it has a connection to Yud Kei Vavke. The Gemara has a Havamina that the Koitze Shal Yud, the Koitze Elyon, if you don't write it, it's kosher. Maskon is it's possible. How could the Gemara have a Havamina? This is the most important thing. This is the Rotzen Elyon, which is higher than the Yud even. How can the Gemara think that if you don't write it, it'll be kosher? The Rebbe says, the Alter Rebbe brings, there's a din in Shulchan Aruch Simon Chaf Aleph about the talis and the tzitzis. The tzitzis is the whole discussion about what's the kedusha of the tzitzis. It's not Tashmisha kedusha, it's Tashmisha mitzvah, so B'shas the mitzvah in Halam Mevazet afterwards. The minig Yisrael is to put it in shemus. Okay. But what's with the talis? Talis, no kedusha. Take all this, no kedusha. Wait a minute, no kedusha. That Arizal says that the talis is even bigger kedusha than the tzitzis. It's meramas on that heavenly hug and the Eibishter's embrace. You know, when you take your talis, you have a little baby, and you know you pick up your baby and you put the baby in the talis. That special magic feeling when you take a kid and you wrap it up into a talis. Yeah, so you know when you put on the talis, the Alter Rebbe says you should imagine that the Eibishter is now embracing you. It's not stam an imagination; it's true that this is an heavenly embrace. So this is Makif Elyon that's surrounding me. So Mitzad Echad that Izal says it's a Makif Elyon is surrounding me. Mitzad Sheni, you're telling me that this is zero kedusha. Even the tzitzis, there's the Shemisha mitzvah. You know, a lot of them invazed them. The minig is to put them in the shemus and kalos nothing. How could that be? So Chassidus says here in Esenes, because it's such an awesome kedusha, it can't sit in the talis. The kedusha, which is a little more limited, a little more mitzumtzum, it could sit somewhat in the tzitzis. It's something. It could hold on. But the talis is so awesome, it can't hold on to it. It's like the shame and Noiche Hashem Alakeka. The Chassidus says, they're based on a Lashon Tikkun Zohar, but it's not exactly. But Chassidus says, the Lo Yisramiz, B'shum Ois V'koitz Klal. That there's no kedusha in anoichi. The word anoichi, what's Lashon Chassidus? Lashon Chassidus is anoichi. The law is itpas b'shem v'lo yiseramis b'shum ois v'koitz klal. You can't hold on to it, and you can't say Yud Kei Vavke has a kedusha in it, but anoichi doesn't even have a kedusha in it. That's the difference of the talis and the tzitzis. The same thing is the difference between the Yud and the Koitze Shel Yud. The Gemara and I have a meaning that, the Koitze Shel Yud, it's awesome. It's Rotzen Elyon, but the Gemara thinks that maybe in the Havamin in the Gemara, so he says no such thing Havamin. Havamin in Torah is the Gemara thought. So the Gemara is thinking that maybe the Koitze Elyon, there's no connection. It's so holy that if it's here, if it's not here, it's kosher anyway. The Gemara Maskona is no, that you have to have it. But still, you see from this, the Gewalt of the Koitze Shel Yud. On the one hand, the Koitze Shel Yud, the Pagam doesn't reach there. On the other hand, the Koitze Shel Yud has a connection to the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. If you write the Eibishter's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, but you don't have the Koitze Shel Yud, it's possible. It's a problem. So it has a connection. So therefore the Pagam doesn't reach. On the other hand, when a Yid does tshuva and he reaches the Antu Chakim V'loy B'Chachma, the Eibush himself, the way it's in the Koitze Shel Yud before it's in the Yud Kei Vav Kei. So through Torah mitzvahs, the Yid reaches the holiness of the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. When the Yid does Aveda, he makes a Pagam. He's now lacking in the Yud and the Hey and the Vav. In Pagamti Be'ez Yud, in Pagamti, like we're saying Krishma, in Pagamti Be'ez Hey, Pagamti Be'ez Vav. So now, if I made a pagam, how do I bring back the kedusha where I made a pagam? So the answer is that there is the koitzer shel yud. The koitzer shel yud, there's no pagam. On the other hand, there's a connection because it does have to be on the yud, and it is connected to the yud. So therefore, through Torah mitzvah, so Yid touches Yud Kevavke. Through Tshuva, the Yid touches the Antu Chakim v'loy b'chacham Yidir, the Antu Mevim v'loy b'viner, the Esa Sfiris Agnuzis. The way it's higher yet in the real Esa, in the 10th Sfiris. So therefore, it fixes up all the pagamim. Every pagam gets fixed up. That's the Gaval of the Tshuva.
That you said before.
So why is the 3 Lashonas that we said differently? Shkaf, I almost forgot to go back to here. So the Rebbe says that the pshat is like this. Roimez and Meramez, apidiktuk, is Lashon Kal and Lashon Kovet, like Shoiver and Nishaber. In the Yud, it's only Roimez. Koit Shel Yud is only Roimez L'Ratzon Aliyah.
Light.
It's light. It's very light. The Yud itself is miramezes l'chochmase. It's a lashon kovid. It's a little more connected. Once you're ready by the hay, the vav and the hay, it's much stronger. It's nichleles v'nirmezes be'ois hay. It's inside the ois hay. It's the shaykhs there is very strong. It's nichleles v'nirmezes. Bi'oisei, and the same thing. Nichleles v'nirmezes bi'oisvav. Nichleles v'nirmezes bi'oisei achroina. Because the kedusha that's in the koitzer shel yud is so awesome that it's loshen kal. It's aremes ba'alma. It's aremes ba'alma. Like the Rebbe says, like you have oisis usually carry a thought, right? So you can have oasis that carry a thought, and sometimes there's a chida, like the Tanakh has a story with Shimshon. Shimshon made a chida, all kinds of funny chidos, a riddle, right? So our bar mitzvah boy called me 2 nights ago. He's already connected to the rabbi. So the rabbi in the public school, they asked the psashayla. The teacher asked the shayla a riddle. How am I supposed to know psanarish a riddle? I'll read it to you after whatever I do. Some riddles. So I said, wait a second. So one of the kids was sitting at the table. I said, Chavi, what's so she right away told me the answer. So I told him, you see, you have to learn yeshiva. If you see my kids learn yeshiva, so they know the answers. so there's
With the bus stop, you have to say one.
no, it was what's I don't know. It's something about anyway. So there is words that they have the seichel and achida. It's meramis. The achida is meramis and a chokma. Same thing here. Koitzer shel yud is only roimes. The yud itself is stronger. It's meramezes. And in the hay, in the vav and the hay, it's nichleles v'nirmezes. Bottom line is that this is how tshuva works. And back to what we said in the beginning, that's why the Alter Rebbe is quoting over here Memaimer Eliyahu Novi. Eliyahu Novi is not only Mevasa Gula, but Eliyahu Novi is also Beheshiv Levavis Harmonim Levanim Alavoisa. Eliyahu Novi is the expert in teaching us how to do tshuva. So therefore, he quotes from Eliyahu, not stam the Indian that there is 10 spheres. This we know already from Avram Avinu, all of Hashalom, from Sefer Yetzirah. And B'chlal, we're not always quoting, so we take it as an axiom that the Eibishter created the world and revealed himself through 10 spheres. It's Chadav HaPoshut. Over here, he wants to go in to say that there is Torah mitzvahs, is Asa Tekunim. For Torah mitzvahs, we get to Melashon Tashit, we get to the Kedusha in the 4 oasis. But what happens if you made a pagam? So Kumt Eliyahu ben Zog, that over there, there's Antuchak and Valoy B'chochmi, there's the Eibishter himself, which has Esek, Svedis, Agnuzas, which are the subconscious, which is motivating the conscience. There is the 10 spheres, the way they're gonus, the way there is higher than the revealed 10 spheres. So when you go up there, but they do have a shaykhs. When you go up there, so through that, not only the Eibishter forgives you, but you fulfill all the pagama. Eibishter helfen that that we need Gula in this world. We should have tshuva and Gula. We should have Gula mitzvahs v'ashleim. Like they Mashiach
I thought Dr. Rebbe don't say nothing about the other part of the tape. The small part, the left side.
How come he doesn't say the little shtickle here?
Oh, you don't forget.
It's a good shaggy. No.
Man, thank you, powerful. Very.
Shkarek for joining us.